being open-minded on the journey of healing is the key, really. Just being open to realizing that there are people who care, there are people who can help you, there are free videos or something like that people can watch.
I have a speaking coach who says, teach from the scar, not the wound. The great Dr. Sonia Stribling, I want to give her credit for saying that. And I didn't know how to do that for the longest time. So it sounds like for you, moving from a wound to a scar, moving out of the pain, you had the spiritual experience, but also the part of it is the forgiveness process.
And I just want to say, for anybody who is struggling or they feel like there is no way out of this darkness or this hard place that you're in, actually, when you realize that pain is a universal feeling, this will actually free you. Try to forgive, even if it's difficult. Get some help if you need to with forgiveness.
Hi, and welcome to the Bouncing Back podcast. I'm your host, Melissa McCurley, and after my own battle with autoimmune disease, I created this podcast to share tools, strategies, and inspiring stories for professionals navigating life and business with chronic illness. If you haven't yet joined our Facebook community, please check out Bouncing Back Podcast, where we continue this conversation. I'm super excited to introduce to you our special guest today, Dominika Blaszczok. Now I'm going to mess up your name. Tell me the last name again.
Dominika Blaszczok.
Blaszczok. Thank you very much. She is a mindset and personal development coach who uses trauma-informed strategies to help her clients overcome self-limiting beliefs and the mental impact of living with long-term health struggles. She's here to share her personal story and a little bit about her work. Dominika, I'm so glad you're here. Welcome to the show.
Hello, Melissa. Thank you so much for having me.
Yes.
I'm so happy to connect with you today to share my story, and hopefully your viewers will get to benefit from hearing today's episode. So I'm excited for it.
Good. I'm happy to have you here. I guess let's start with, I know you had a couple of turning points in your life that were pivotal, that kind of changed your trajectory career-wise and with life focus. Could you share a little bit about your story with us?
Absolutely, yes. So basically, I am actually originally from Poland, and I moved to Ireland when I was like 12 years old with my parents. When I was growing up, my parents had a business and it didn't really work out. There was a lot of trauma because of that, like financial instability. So that kind of always led to having fights at home and just a lot of anger. So obviously, that impacted me as I was growing up. And then eventually, as the years went by, I was trying to deal with it in my own way, but I didn't really understand it. And I was growing up in a way that I was told, keep all of the things to yourself that are happening at home. You shouldn't tell anybody. And that created a lot of anger and obviously hurt as well in the process. Later on, I went on a journey where unfortunately I got sexually assaulted by my own dad.
I'm sorry.
And yes, thank you. And later on, he ended up being in prison because of the business issues and stuff. And even though I was going through this trauma of my own, a lot of anger and sadness, and I was starting to be depressed because of that, I was still visiting him in the prison and trying to show him support, being positive, like I've always been. But obviously, something inside me broke because of that trust that was broken between us. And over the years, so that was before 2023. So over the years, I just became very suicidal because of everything that I was going through. I just was circling, like I was replaying all these scenarios over and over in my head. I became so resentful and so angry with myself that I really got to this point of my life where I was like, I don't see my life beyond this point. I really don't see what's the point in living, because I was struggling so much and I didn't really see how somebody could help me in this world. So that led to this point where I was like, okay, I think I will really take my life. But back in June 2023, as I was actually in a very deep depression and suicidal thoughts, I decided to give my life over to God, and I prayed out to Him to show me how to forgive, because that was what I was struggling with.
Mm.
Because of everything that I went through, I love my family. I don't hold anything against them now, but I used to hold a lot of things against them. And because of that, I became resentful, angry, and I couldn't forgive. I didn't see why God would allow stuff like that to happen to me in my life, my siblings, my family. And I was just struggling with that. But then I said, okay, if things don't change, I will really be gone. So I gave my life over to God, and He healed me instantly from my depression and from
Wow.
my suicidal thoughts. And so that happened on 11th of June 2023. I prayed out to Him. He physically appeared to me in my room. He gave me a hug, and He showed me what forgiveness is. And He taught me that we don't forgive because those people didn't hurt us or because what you went through is not valid. He showed me that we forgive because if we hold on to it, we
Yes.
actually destroy our own health. So that's what happened, and that's where I am today. So then after that, after June 2023, I went on this journey of finding myself, finding more healing, finding even more forgiveness. And I started publishing my own books. I became a mindset coach. Yes, that's what happened. So I
Wow.
was able to get out of that darkness. Yes. And all because of that one decision.
Yeah, that's so powerful. I meet so many amazing people on this journey and in podcasts, and I really think that when we can find a way to take some of the darkest experiences and not let them break us and transmute them into something powerful and wonderful. I have a speaking coach who says, teach from the scar, not the wound. The great Dr. Sonia Stribling, I want to give her credit for saying that. And I didn't I didn't know how to do that for the longest time, but in seeing these stories, there's so much power in that. So it sounds like for you, moving from a wound to a scar, moving out of the pain, you had the spiritual experience, but also the part of it is the forgiveness process. For people who have not learned how to forgive, who do not know how to do that, could you share how somebody might start? Somebody, whether they do or don't have a relationship with God in their life, how could they start to open that door?
Oh, absolutely. And yes, forgiveness was really the number one thing that changed everything for me, because it wasn't that I was like very unhappy with my life. I became unhappy because of my past.
Sure.
So that led to that point where I was like, that's it, like I don't see the point. But when I decided to forgive, that was what healed me. So I understand why many people struggle with giving their life over to God, because it makes sense totally. I was there myself too. I was like, why would God allow all these bad things to happen in the world? Why would God allow me to go through this, my family? And I was blaming Him, blaming my family, blaming myself for allowing things to happen as well, ignoring the red flags and all that stuff. But then I started learning more about who God really is by myself. So I went on this personal journey of finding who He really was. So that's how I opened up that door. But obviously, God was calling on me.
Yeah.
And what helped me a lot was personal development as well. So before I had a big relationship with God, I got into personal development and the power of like positive thinking, gratitude. So I started learning a lot about this stuff, and that helped me a lot in realizing later that actually all of this comes from the Bible. So later on, when I already gave my life over to God, I discovered, wow, like everything that we actually teach about mindset, health, well-being, wealth, money, like relationships, all of it goes back to the Bible. And I know that people have resistance there, and it's totally understandable. I would just say, try to see a bigger picture, that actually in hindsight, anything that you went through can be used to your benefit. Because we often think that everything we went through is just there to break us, is just there to discourage us, is just there for us to not live a life to the fullest.
Yeah.
But actually, what helped me a lot was to realize that everything that I went through shaped me into who I am today. I wouldn't be here where I am today. I wouldn't be strong enough
Right.
to be able to help all those people now the way I help them. So trying to open up those doors even through mindset can be very helpful for those people who they struggle with given their life over to God, start with mindset, positive thinking. And I'm not saying like people call positive thinking sometimes toxic. They say toxic positivity. How can I be positive if things are not going my way? But it's more about just trying to see the good. So holding a balance between, even though I am struggling, even though there are things that have hurt me, there is still something I can be happy about right now. Whether it is enjoying my coffee today, whether it is going on a beautiful walk and I'm seeing the nature. So trying to do more of the things that make you happy, that can definitely open up the doors towards healing and forgiveness, and realizing that if I hold on to that pain, I am just holding myself
Yeah.
back. I am carrying the weight that's unnecessary, when I could be actually free and I could live to my fullest potential when I let it go. So we don't forgive because those people didn't do you wrong, or because God wanted you to go through horrible things or something like that. We forgive because if we hold on to the past, we just don't live to the fullest. We become miserable and we actually hold it in our bodies,
Yes.
and that impacts all of our life, all of our well-being, our thoughts, the way we perform at work. We don't want to socialize, we don't want to get out there, we blame ourselves. So when you try to forgive, there are lots of different ways to forgive, but definitely trying to switch that mindset can be very helpful. Switching your mindset to thinking about gratitude, thinking about stuff you have in your life that are beautiful. And even if you need to speak to somebody, then there are people out there who you can talk to, which is also beautiful. But being open minded on the journey of healing is the key, really. Just being open to realizing that there are people who care, there are people who can help you, there are free videos or something like that people can watch. So yes, just trying things out, because not everything works for the same way for all the people.
Yeah.
So just being open and trying things out to see what will work.
I found that at different points in my life, I've been really interested in personal development for a while, like for 20 plus years. As a business owner, a realtor, that kind of enters that space pretty early. And I found that different people and different tools resonate for me at different times. Maybe
Yeah.
I'm different, or it's what I needed to hear. I wanted to circle back. You mentioned an interesting term, toxic positivity. And I hear that come up a lot in the space. And I've referenced it a couple times on my podcast. And I wanted to say that there's a difference, like what you're saying, there's a difference between brushing over the pain of trauma we've lived and trying to, I've had it happen before where I'm trying to express what I'm going through and somebody says, well, I know this other person and they have this and they're fine, or oh, did you know so and so has. That's
Yeah.
different from saying, I've had this difficult thing, I'm trying to integrate it in my life, but let me also look at the things that are good. Let me also look at,
Yes.
is there something I can learn from this? Let me also look. It's like finding the good in the whole picture versus glossing over the truth of the pain of what we've been through, because that's important too. There's, I think, like what you're saying, is there's power from what we've experienced if we'll let it happen, if we'll release the darkness
Yes.
of it.
That's exactly it.
Yeah,
And I agree with you. Because, see, as humans, we often think that if I am in pain, or if I am in sadness, this is the only emotion I can experience.
right.
But actually, we are so complex that we can actually experience many different emotions at a time. So we can hold duality and be like, even though I am sad, even though I am going through the struggle right now, I can still hold space, give myself the grace, because I am only human. It's okay that I am experiencing this emotion that's negative, but I can also create a space for myself to make myself feel better, to enjoy myself, to live my life, because it is your life. But oftentimes we forget, we feel like we cannot do that. We often don't. We often feel like maybe we can't hold two different
Right.
emotions at a time. But we can be sad, but we can still be happy at the moment. Like, we can allow ourselves to feel the emotions. And honestly, you know what I always say as well to people? We sometimes feel like all the negative emotions, like sadness, hurt, pain, we should not experience them at all.
Mm.
But actually, without those emotions, we wouldn't see the happiness, joy, love, and just the pure freedom of the life that we get to experience. So the beauty of this life is actually seeing that I am a human with so many emotions, and it's beautiful to be able to experience them. And what helped me to see as well sadness in a different way was when you actually watch a movie that's sad or there's some pain inside of it, that's actually the most beautiful scene in the movie. Even though
Mm-hmm.
it hurts, even though it's sad, there is always this breaking point after. And these are the scenes of the movies that receive the awards. It's never really, I am happy and I seen a butterfly, or I am happy. It's always actually the breaking points, because that's what makes the story, that's what makes it human, that's what makes us feel like we can relate to the story. And so what I'm trying to say is, even though we experience these bad emotions and sadness, when you actually switch your mindset and look at it from a perspective of, it's actually beautiful that I can feel on such a deep level, and I can switch my emotions. I don't have to only feel sadness. I don't have to only feel gratitude, because people often feel like the only emotions that I want to feel are happiness,
Right.
joy, bliss. But that's impossible. None of us, like, it's physically actually impossible for all of us to be happy 24/7. We would be
And
exhausted.
we would get bored, actually. We would get bored with that. Let's be honest. Human
Yes,
beings, we'd go seek out some kind of drama. We would.
yes.
Yeah, for sure. What you're saying makes the thing about having multiple feelings at one time, it makes me think of, have you ever been to a funeral where you've lost someone and it's sad and everybody's crying, and then they tell a funny story about that person? And you just go back to a moment with them where it brings up, and you feel it in your whole body, that person's
Yeah,
goofiness or their sense of humor or the way they like to tease somebody, and then everybody bursts out laughing. And you're right, we to live fully is
yes.
to experience all those things, and it's not a linear thing. Yeah.
No, it really isn't. And actually, we would get really exhausted. Like, imagine laughing nonstop. Imagine when you have a good laugh with somebody, you laugh for 5 to 10 minutes, you're like, I'm out of
I
breath,
gotta
like, we have
rest.
to stop.
Yes.
I need to like rest. So actually, it's good to have the balance. And I'm not saying be in sadness all the time, be in pain all the time, because there is a way out of that place as well. If all your experiences is this, there definitely
Yeah.
needs to be something that has to change. But we can definitely hold both and be like, okay, I have a headache today, but it's fine because I still get to experience love from the people close to me. I feel really sad because of my past and I feel so depressed, but I will still do something that I enjoy today. I will still give myself the grace because I'm only human and it's okay. I am a human, I have human emotions, and I get to experience all of them. And just a lot of people think happiness is temporary, but actually all emotions are temporary when you think about it.
Right.
So we tend to think that sadness, depression, hurt, it's a feeling that we experience nonstop. It's like permanent. And but so we sometimes actually with our own thoughts we create this like permanency, if that makes sense, like a permanent
Like
feeling
I
with
should
them.
be sad because I've had this happen. And you kind
Yes,
of stay in that.
exactly. Yes. So we kind of like self sabotage in a way. We
Hmm.
say, like, how could I be happy if this happened to me? How could I ever be free if my family hurt me or something like that? But you can be free. You can still be sad about it because, yeah, they did you wrong. It takes time to forgive, it takes time to heal. Maybe it impacted you big time, like it impacted me. But you can also, in a way, hold space for yourself to feel happy, to still enjoy stuff, because it's okay. Like the all the emotions are temporary. It's not that one is permanent 100%, but
Right.
because happiness is not permanent as well. It's impossible to feel happy all the time. Like even when we have the best day ever, but sometimes we maybe see some kind of news and it will upset us.
Yeah.
So it's normal, like
Just
it's
turn on the
100%
news. It'll
normal.
be there. Yeah.
Yes,
For sure.
yes.
That makes sense. I would love to hear, if you're comfortable sharing it, would you share your spiritual experience, your experience with God? Were you building onto that road, or was it like an out of nowhere thing? Or I love to hear people's experience with the divine.
Yes, absolutely. So, to be honest with you, I always had some kind of relationship with God. I grew up, when I was growing up, I was praying to God and I believe that He's there. But because of everything that I was going through and that trauma and a lot of bad things, anger. I was questioning, does God even exist?
Yeah.
So I always prayed, I believed in him, but not fully. And I had a very bad point of view when it came to God. So I believed he's there, but he's not all good, because how could he be all good if all those bad things happen in
Right.
the world? So I had a lot of doubt. I was like 50-50, like going up
Yeah.
and down, if that makes sense. But then I would say before June 2023, so before that point where I really gave my life over to God, I was already very into mindset work. So probably from 2020, I started being more into the mindset work. Like, I started noticing there are people who have more than me and they live a happier life, and I was like curious about it. So I started learning about all that stuff, like positive thinking, gratitude, journaling, all those tools. But honestly, they never really helped me the way that God helped me. But when I was going through the mindset work, it helped me a lot. It made me see that it's possible to have a different life. It's possible to be a woman and be a leader. It's possible to have a beautiful life of your dreams. But somehow I was always stuck. And later on, I realized what was making me feel stuck was unforgiveness, all the resentment from the past. That was the worst thing. So since that time, I was going on that journey of like mindset, personal development. And of course, it led me closer to God, because in the process, when people were talking about money and wealth and all that stuff, a voice inside me was like, but how does this actually go back to the Bible? Even though I never really used to read the Bible. But obviously, God was like, yeah, go here, go find the answers. Because when I was trying to ask people the questions like, how does it relate to the Bible? What does God really have to say about all that stuff? Because people teach about manifestation and all that, and it felt off to me. So I was like, how does it actually relate to the real God? What does he think about that? So nobody could answer me, like literally nobody. All those people that always had something to say, they were full of answers, they could not answer me. God pushed me to actually open in the Bible, and I started reading it, and I started landing in like the book of Proverbs, how we should live our life and all that stuff. And I started realizing that actually the Bible is not just like a big book of rules, because that's how I used to see it, like a big book of rules. God hates us, he just want to punish us, and we are all bad people. When I actually started learning more about God, like by myself in my own room without anybody, I started realizing like, wow, God really loves me. He really cares about me, and he cares about every single person. He loves us so much. And I started learning that the Bible is not just a big book of rules, it's actually a guide. Like, we are meant to just read it as a guide to a happier life. It's not there to show that we are bad humans and God hates us. But that's how I was growing up.
A lot of
You
people
know,
are
people.
grown are raised with that message. Yeah. All the other stuff
Exactly.
doesn't get touched on. All the amazing things about developing yourself and wealth and all the,
Yes.
yeah, they just, that gets skipped over. Yeah.
Yes, exactly. They just say you're gonna go to hell and that's it. And that's like a very harsh
Yeah.
message. And I always was like, that's a little bit off. Like, why would I wanna follow a God like that?
Right.
That
Right.
made me
It's a
feel odd.
valid question.
Yes. Yeah. So basically, when I was actually starting to develop this relationship by myself with God, I started realizing, like, wow, we, like, so many people are so wrong. And this is why I also had this wrong beliefs about God. And yeah, then I actually gave my life over to God, because I was at that breaking point. I was like, God, I will really end my life if you don't come and fix me. You take me away or you fix me, because I cannot forgive. Like, you have to show me how you forgive, because in the Bible you read about forgiveness, that you should forgive people. And I was like, how can God forgive us anything? I couldn't understand it. But then in that hug, when he physically hugged me, he showed me that he forgives because of love. He forgives because of love, and we forgive because we when we let go of that past resentment and hurt, we become free.
Yeah.
Because that pain from the past that we hold on to, we just destroy ourselves in the process, and it takes time to let it go. It's normal. But so in that time, gave my life over to God, and I was learning more and more about him just by myself. I was going to church, and I still go, and it's beautiful, honestly, when you actually learn about God from the correct people, not from the people that just use the messages in the Bible to serve their own
Yeah.
beliefs. Like parents would tell you, respect your mom and your dad, but they wouldn't give you respect back
Yeah.
or stuff like
Or they
that.
acted in ways that
And
weren't really deserving of respect, and then you're not
exactly.
allowed to notice that.
Yes.
Yeah.
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 Yes, exactly. So I feel like that's probably the main reason why so many people struggle with
Yeah.
God and who He is, because of the misrepresentation of human beings. Like people misrepresent who He is. We do it. We get angry for no reason, or just because we are triggered. We didn't heal our traumas, and that can then be projected onto other people. That's why I was like, I wasn't really sure, should I even go with God. There was always something there for me. I always prayed to Him during the hard times, and
Yeah.
He helped me so many times. But there was resistance because of what I went through. But then when I went on that journey to learn and all about Him just by myself and from the correct people, I was like, wow, like He is all love and He really loves us. And the reason why so many bad things happen in the world is because people live apart from God. That's the reason. And it's hard. It's definitely hard, because when you go through something difficult, it's like, how could there even be a God? It's a normal question to
Right.
ask.
It's a fair
Yeah.
question. Yeah. No, that.
Yes.
So, how do you incorporate all of this? Your personal experience, your wisdom, your transformations, your learnings, the things you've strategically studied into your work with your clients. How does that show up for you?
Yes. So I obviously love like motivational speaking and
Mm.
encouraging people, because I believe that this is my gift. I've always been encouraging people. Like since I was a kid, I would always be like, it's gonna be fine. So I believe that encouragement is really beautiful, because we all sometimes when we feel down, all we need is a beautiful message to actually help us pick ourselves up. So I love to have some like motivational speaking, but then also depending on how I work with the person, if it's one-on-one, obviously the work is tailored to that person's needs, depending on what they went through, what they want exactly now, what they want to focus on, then the coach needs tailored to their needs. When it's like in a group, I would pick a topic, I speak about it, I coach people about the mindset shifts, but mainly I coach from my own experiences. And it's actually so amazing, because all the things that I went through, and now I share how I got out of that place. It helps people now.
Mm.
It helps people get the breakthroughs as well. So I just now, whenever I coach people, I just trust that like God is gonna work through me, and the message is gonna land to the correct people's lives. Whoever needs to hear it, they will hear it, and they will get whatever they need from it. So it's all actually praying, trusting, and then delivering it in different ways.
And
You
books.
know,
You've
I
written,
like
how
to
many
be like,
books have you written? Like
yes.
50? It
So
was a lot.
yeah, so I published 55 books by now
Wow.
on Amazon.
That's
And
amazing.
yeah, so basically, actually, only one of them is a written book. The other ones are like coloring books, planners, journals, and
Oh,
stuff
that's
like
so
that.
fun.
Yes, yes. I actually started doing that just to build a passive income stream,
Sure.
because I really wanted to quit my full time job. I was
Well,
determined.
how
I said like,
creative too. That's just I like I
yes,
want to do that. That sounds so fun. I'm a big journal
it
dork.
really
I
is.
love that.
Yeah, it really is. And I always wanted to be an author, but then I was like it's difficult to become an author. I have to write like a book that's maybe 500 pages long or something, and I gave up on that. But then I found out about that Amazon KDP, that you
Yeah.
can do coloring books, journals, planners, and loads of different books. So I started with that. I just started publishing like like easier books to make. And recently I have published a memoir actually about my life. It's a personal development memoir, actually about my journey of what I went through, how I ended up in depression and suicidal thoughts, and how I really got out of it, the mindset shifts, the forgiveness, and all that stuff. So it's a beautiful story about how I found God. And yeah, so I feel really blessed to have been able to write it. And actually, funny enough, I started writing this book about 8 years ago.
Really? What's
And
the name of the
yes,
book? What's the name of the book?
It's called Her Final Prayer,
Okay.
a story of how a girl found God. Yeah, Her Final Prayer,
On
and it's
Amazon.
available. Yes, it's
Nice.
available on Amazon worldwide. So I actually started writing it 8 years ago, and when I was first writing it, it was like a diary, like a big book of complaints, like about my life. And but
We
I
have one of
finished
those,
it.
yeah.
Yes, but then I actually finished it like this year in collaboration with God, what He wanted me to put in there. And the book has two parts. So, part one is me in that anger, shame, resentment, hurt, unforgiveness. And then the part two of the book, it's the healed version of me, the one who knows God,
Mm,
the capable one, the wiser one, the one unstoppable, who have found her voice again. And honestly, like when you read part one and part two, it's two different people because that's how much I have
wow.
changed. So it's really beautiful. And yes, that's why I have worked on that book for so many years and now it came to fruition. And before that, I was on a journey and I started publishing the books that were easier to make coloring books journals, and then that led me to actually publishing that book about mindset. So it's really beautiful how actually the experiences that we have sometimes can lead up to something that we don't even imagine in the end, because I wasn't even expecting that this book is gonna be
Wow.
like that. I never even imagined, but it's so beautiful how actually when we trust and we do what's necessary, when we do the mindset work and we believe that we are capable of things, then beautiful things happen.
And sometimes it's in business, sometimes there's this big message of you have to have the big picture. You have to have the whole picture. And I used to be
Yeah.
really big about that. And then when I went through this chronic illness journey, man, that big picture went away because I was just trying to have a picture to get through the day.
Yes.
There wasn't even a week at a glance. It was like, but one of the things that came out of that is now a balance where I think there's something when you don't know where you're going for sure, or you're trying something new and you're leaning in or you're reevaluating, following the breadcrumbs, like taking the small steps. Like it's not like you did all these other books in your mind to prepare to get this memoir out, but the act of doing and leaning into the next thing that felt like it resonated with you. And then the next thing, when you look at that in hindsight, you see the path that brought you there. But I think I always ask myself that. Am I leaning in and listening to the whispers of that which is greater than me? Or am I trying to control and run everything? And I think it's both, right? We can't not take action on things. But I love that. It's like with your journey, it's easy to see. You
Yeah.
did these things that were fun and that you leaned into and trying to make a little passive income. And they were like what you could handle at that time. And then they led to
Yes.
this bigger fruition of a thing. I think there's a
Yes.
lot of power in that.
Yeah, there really is. And that's exactly how life is, actually. Sometimes, yes, like I also struggle with that. Have a clear picture. What's your 5 year plan? I'm like, how? Like, how am I supposed to? I don't even know. And now, especially when I have a relationship with God, I'm like, don't ask me what's gonna happen next month because I don't know where I'm gonna be because of him.
Yeah.
Anything could happen. So yes, it's all about trust. And I feel for me, mindset work, and for majority of people, I would say everybody actually, the mindset work helps us because we all have different fears. So we all have different fears or blocks that actually stop us from taking that step, from going towards something. So mindset work helps us break that, and then later on, if we take that first step, it's gonna lead to another thing and another thing, just like me with my books. And now I published a memoir, and I know that this is not the last book. I still have more ideas, which is leading to another thing,
Yeah.
and I'm not done yet. So it's so awesome. And yes, in business, I feel like it's really important to actually, yes, kind of having a vision where you want to be. It's so important because that can keep you motivated, and that can show you a direction, but also being open to how it's gonna happen, because
Yeah.
sometimes that's the thing, sometimes we have our own like expectations as to how it's gonna happen. If you would have asked me like 2 years ago, you would have told me you're gonna publish a memoir, how do you think that's gonna come about? Like I wouldn't know what that would look like. So yes, just trust in like one small step at a time, that you will actually get to where you're meant to be, that everything that you do in life, it doesn't matter how small, how big, it all actually leads to a bigger mission, a bigger calling, even if it might not look like it. Because, like, I worked in KFC before, I worked as a cleaner, I worked as a kitchen porter. I never would have thought that I'm gonna be online teaching about mindset, God, forgiveness. I never would have thought. So, all of the things we actually go through prepare us onto where we are meant to be. And it's all about just breaking those fears, or being afraid and doing things anyway.
Anyway, that's
Being
it.
afraid and doing things anyway.
That's what
Yeah.
courage is. It's not being afraid. It's just being afraid
Yeah.
and doing it anyway. Where can people find you? Where are you online?
Okay. Yeah. Thank you so much. So
Yeah.
the best place to find me is Facebook.
Okay.
Literally, Dominika Blaszczok. That's where I am the most active.
And we'll put it in the
I
show
am also,
notes.
yes, thank you so much. I am also on Instagram as Nika X Bla, but I'm not as active there, although I try to be. And I also actually have my own YouTube channel. It's called Invisible Mindset, and I actually post like motivational videos in there, and I coach. So it's a cool place to tune into if you wanna get fired up, have some mindset shift, play it in the morning or something. I highly recommend. Yeah, I highly recommend checking that out as well.
I love. We'll link all that below, but I wanted you to share too for people who are driving, and then they can find your books on Amazon.
Yes, yes, absolutely. So actually, the my book, Her Final Prayer, it's published under my real name, but the other ones are actually under the several pen names because of the fact that they're different genres and stuff like that. But yeah, I do have actually like a link on my website where
Oh,
you can
good.
check out my bookshelf, and there are a couple of my books there. So yeah, people can check it out if they want to.
Fantastic. Thank you so much for coming on here and joining, and thank you for being so transparent and detailed with your personal journey. I think it's amazing, and I know it's going to really help a lot of people and probably give them permission to maybe go some places they haven't gone yet. Any final words?
Thank you so much for having me. And I just want to say, for anybody who is struggling, or they feel like there is no way out of this darkness or this hard place that you're in, actually, when you realize that pain is a universal feeling, this will actually free you. Try to forgive, even if it's difficult. Get some help if you need to with forgiveness. Because when you decide to forgive and let go of that shame from the past, this is gonna free you. So I'm just very grateful that I got to share this message today. And I wanna thank you, Melissa, so much
Oh,
for having me, for creating this comfortable environment for me to be able to share. And I really appreciate that, honestly, because it's not always easy to find a beautiful environment like this. So I'm very grateful for everything that you do.
thank you. Thank you,
Thank you so
Dominika. We're
much.
so grateful to have you and just right back at you. Thanks so
Thank
much
you.
for tuning in. Please rate, review, and share the show. It really helps us a lot, and we want to get the message out to lots of people. And we'll be back in 2 more weeks with more stories of success. So until then, keep bouncing back. If these stories of strength and comeback hit home, you'll want to hear what's next. Click the video on screen to keep learning from our incredible guests on how to bounce back and thrive.